I've done this a couple of times in decade intervals. Let me explain. If I was about to commentate on a women's marathon, for instance, I've selected, you can see where my arrow is there. I've selected women's marathon. Now, the reason that I've gone back to 2002, I believe 01 is the furthest back you can go. So this is free of charge online on the World Athletics website. So let's imagine it was last year. Well, okay, let's say it's this year, right? So I want to be able to tell people what happened in this, what was happening in the women's marathon 20 years ago. So at the click of a button, you get the top lists from 2003. Now, 2003 was the year that Paula Radcliffe won that great London Marathon, improving the world record to 2:15:25. Absolutely incredible. We thought that would last the test of time. Bridget Koskay had other ideas. So it's not just about the name at the top. Let's take the figure 223, for example. I know I'm being very specific with athletics here, but I'm just using this as an example of how you can put performances into a context. Now, 20 years ago, look across. 8 women had run inside 223. Lorna Kiplagat, what a brilliant athlete she was. Absolutely phenomenal. So, 8 women broke 223 because the times have been ever more impressive with every passing year. Now let's go back on and click to 2013. So a decade later, okay, actually that's interesting. It hadn't changed that much. I'm surprised by that. So there's not much change in that 10-year period between how many women had run sub 223 in 2003 and how many had run sub 223 in 2013, 10 years later. In fact, it's only gone up by 1. If you include Philomena Chepchirchir, I think you can because she's 223 on the nose. Now, look at this. I'll give you 2022 as an example. Well, okay, let's go to 2023. There may not be many because obviously the year is very young and there haven't been many marathons. But look at this. Already, we've had 7. Already. And we're only 5 weeks into the year. But the better example, by the end of this year, it will be something like this. Look at last year. This is amazing. Look, 214, 214, 217. In fact, look how many have gone sub 220. 29. So in 20 years, we have gone from 8 women being able to run inside 223 to 29 women being able to run inside 220. And if I go down to 223, you will be amazed. Look at that. Look at that. 74 women. I know the number is low at the moment for 2023, but that is simply because we're only in the start of February. By the end of this year, there will be somewhere in the region of 74, possibly even more. Even if you said it was less, even if you said it's going to be 64, which it probably won't be, it'll be more, you've gone in 20 years from a situation where that number has gone up from 8 to 74. So statistics don't always tell the full story, but this is a great, great research tool available to you free of charge, constantly available anywhere you can get online. So that's season's top lists. Now, let's go into all-time top lists because this is where, at the flick of a button, let's go for, well, I tell you what, let's go women's 10,000 meters, right? So this is the world. This is the world record list. Letesenbet Gide, she and Hassan swapped those world records. Absolutely amazing in the space of a couple of days. So what we're interested in here, if you go into countries, okay, groups of countries, where is it? Right, hold on. I can never remember quite which way. Let's go countries. Right, let's go down to Uganda. If I can get the mouse to work. Right, have a look at this. So, in 2 clicks, hopefully a little quicker, all of a sudden, look at that. You have a list of the top Ugandan women of all time. So that is the Ugandan all-time list. Stella Chazang at the top. So if you are commentating on, or you're writing about anything to do with Ugandan athletics over a specific distance, this is a fantastic research tool, because if somebody runs 32:20, you can immediately and confidently say, wow, she's suddenly up to 7th, because she goes 8th. She's suddenly up to 7th on the Ugandan all-time list. All of a sudden, the people watching will go, wow, okay, that's a great run. Again, every distance, every event, men's and women's, with the click of 2 buttons on the all-time list. So you go onto the World Athletics website, you go to the all-time list, you choose the event, you narrow it down to Uganda, and all of a sudden, you have a context. If you wanted to, let's go area. Wow, because the records will be eye-watering. You can suddenly go, okay, what's the African record? Letesenbet Gide with the world record. Almaz Ayana is second on the all-time list. I commentated on that race. It was so weird because she was running so quickly in Rio, and it was a morning final. I had to double-check my pace chart because she was going so fast. So this is a fantastic free-of-charge research tool. So you should never be in a position where you're giving out, unless you have a slip of the tongue. Thanks to that website and how in-depth it now is, you should never be in a position where you're giving out false information, because you should try and find the time to go online and do some homework and put those performances into a context. So remember that, the World Athletics website, it is absolutely brilliant. Right, if your company will pay a little bit of money, it's something like, I think it's about $200 for 2 years, something like that. This is, I'm going a little bit specific onto athletics here. Make a note of this. If your company will pay you for you to have this service, it's a funny word. I'm not sure what it means. It's done by a Finnish guy. This is the best athletics statisticians research tool, in my opinion, in the world. You use the World Athletics one for your basic statistics and your facts and figures as to how things have changed in the last 10 years, 20 years. This one, if you're under pressure and you're having to prepare a lot of people in a short space of time, this is fantastic. I've put Joshua's statistics up there just for now, because in 30 seconds you can glance at that. You can remind yourself he's a 4-time world champion if you include the team medals as well as the individual. And you can remind yourself he got the silver in the 10,000 and he got a silver behind Mo Farah in 2017, which I think was a performance of real character, coming off the back of the disappointing way in which he blew up here at the Kololo Independence Grounds when his enthusiasm got the better of him. So this is called telastapaya.eu, and if you are into athletics and your company will pay for this, this is worth its weight in gold, because look at this. If you suddenly you want to remind yourself, okay, what else did Joshua do in 2017? So I've just gone over here. You pick the year. I'm going to go back to 17 just for an example. Okay, look. Hopefully it'll work. Every performance he did in 2017 is listed by distance